Welcome to the Human Capital Innovations Podcast, your go-to source for personal, professional, and organizational growth and development. We hope you tune in often for all things people management, organizational development and change, organizational leadership, and social impact related. Maximize your personal and organizational potential with Human Capital Innovations Podcast. Welcome to the Human Capital Innovations Podcast. In this HCI podcast episode, I talk with Professor Rao about the characteristics of soft leadership and how they can be a game changer for organizational leaders. Professor Rao, welcome to the Human Capital Innovations Podcast. It's a real pleasure to have you. I'm excited to have this conversation. We've been connected on LinkedIn for a long time, and I've been following your work. I know you've been following my work a little bit, and this was really just a natural match for us to get connected and to have a conversation. You do a lot of work in the area of organizations and coaching and leadership, and you've become known as the father of soft leadership. So today we're going to be exploring the characteristics of soft leadership and how soft leadership can be a game changer for organizational leaders. As we get started, I just wanted to share Professor Rao's bio with everybody. Professor Rao is the father of soft leadership and the founder of MSR Leadership Consultants in India. He is an international leadership guru with 40 years of experience and the author of 50 books, including the award-winning See the Light in You. He is a C-suite advisor and global keynote speaker, and he brings a strategic eye and long-range vision, giving his multifaceted professional experience, including military teaching, training, research, consultancy, and philosophy. He is passionate about serving and making a difference in the lives of others. He is a regular contributor to Entrepreneurship Magazine, and he trains a new generation of leaders through leadership education and publications. He has a vision to build 1 million students as global leaders by 2030 and to share his knowledge freely with 1 billion people globally. He was ranked #1 as thought leader and influencer in the business strategy globally by Thinkers 360, and he invests his time in authoring books and blogging on executive education, learning, and leadership. He is a prolific author and a dynamic, energetic, and inspirational leadership speaker. Again, Professor Rao, it's a pleasure to be with you today. I'm excited to have this conversation. Before we launch into the discussion, anything else you would like to share with listeners by way of your personal background or professional context as it relates to the topic for today?
Thank you, John, for having me on your show. And greetings to all listeners. I'm speaking from India. As you have said, we'll explore soft leadership in today's interview.
Wonderful. Thank you. So, you're joining us from India. I'm in the US. It's morning here. It's evening there. I always love to have a global flavor to the podcast. And I've interviewed leaders like yourselves, thought leaders, industry leaders, from around the world. I've probably interviewed, I've interviewed upwards of 250 leaders around the world at this point for the podcast. Probably at least 50 or more of them have been international. And I just love getting that perspective because, as you know, I've spent a lot of time living abroad, traveling and working in different cultures and national contexts. And of course, India is a major player on the world stage and in the global labor market. So I think it's very it's a wonderful opportunity to be able to have this discussion with you and to explore your perspective on soft leadership as it relates, to specifically to India and the conditions in India, but also more globally, because I know you have a global reach. As we get started, maybe you can provide a brief definition for listeners by how you think of and define soft leadership, and then we can connect that back to leadership more generally and talk about the specific characteristics in relation to soft leadership that organizational leaders should try to embody and develop.
Around 10 years back, when I was conducting training programs for corporates, uh, the audience felt that there was a need for a new leadership styles. They didn't appreciate the prevailing styles in leadership. Then I thought it was a gap. There was a need to have a new leadership perspective. Uh, I'm from a military background, so I'm passionate about leadership, and I earned my PhD in soft skills. Then I thought, why not to blend soft skills with leadership? So I researched and created soft leadership. Then I requested Dev Ulrich to write a foreword for my book on soft leadership, and he's kind to create a leadership code for the 11 C's. So there are 11 C's that collectively constitute soft leadership. They are character, charisma, commitment, conscience, conviction, communication, compassion, consistency, consideration, contribution, and courage. So these are the 11 C's. Dave Ulrich, the father of modern HR, has created leadership code for this 11 C's, and he has given sanctity to my new leadership style, that is soft leadership. Then I have written several research papers. They have been published in Emerald journals and also Leader to Leader, and various international magazines have published articles on soft leadership. Then I have written 6 books on soft leadership. The soft leadership is basically about leading people through soft skills. It is to emphasize people orientation without compromising task orientation. This is briefly about soft leadership. And this soft leadership is different from servant leadership, because in servant leadership, all are servants. But here, soft leadership talks that there are no leaders and followers. It's basically about partnership. This is what is all about soft leadership. So then I started writing more research papers where this concept can be applied. So I have written a couple of articles and even research papers. So this concept can be explored by nations to achieve peace and prosperity. For example, especially some of the countries, they follow hard leadership that leads to a conflict among the nations. So exploring soft leadership by nations helps achieve peace and prosperity. That's one aspect. Then second aspect is the soft leadership can be used by organizations to achieve organizational excellence and effectiveness, because employees prefer to work with colleagues, not with leaders and followers, especially the millennials, who are also known as Generation Y, and the centennials who are going to hit the workplace very soon. They appreciate working with colleagues, not with leaders. And so I'm sure this perspective will not only appeal the millennials and centennials, but also it will help bridge the gap between various generations in the workplace. So it engages employees effectively. It motivates employees to contribute their best. So as a result, the organizations can achieve productivity and performance.
Well, thank you for that background, and it's wonderful to hear about your connection with Dave Ulrich. Dave and I both live actually fairly close to each other. He's been a guest on this podcast, and we've interacted on a number of occasions. He's a wonderful guy, and to talk about the 11 C's, yes, you're holding up your book for listeners who can't see it. And
Dave Ulrich has written the foreword for one of my books on soft leadership. And this is another book on soft leadership.
Yeah, wonderful.
For this, Dennis Carey has written a foreword. He's the vice chairman of Corn Ferry. And this is one more book on soft leadership. And the latest book on soft leadership is the title Soft Leadership, A New Direction to Leadership, for which Philip Kotler, the father of modern marketing, has written a foreword, and I have dedicated that book to father of modern management, Peter Drucker, because I admire Peter Drucker management. When I joined for MBA, the first person who attracted me was Peter Drucker. So I have dedicated that book to Peter Drucker. So that is the beauty of that book, titled "Soft Leadership: A New Direction to Leadership," which is one of the bestsellers, and it's the recently published book on soft leadership.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And I was just saying that it's wonderful to see your connection with all these amazing global thought leaders in the HR and leadership space, such as Dave Ulrich, who I also know, and building upon his framework, for example, around the 11 C's. I think that's excellent. Let's now start to dig in to some of the very specific characteristics that you focus on as you approach soft leadership. And then we'll connect that back to organizational leaders more generally and what we should be trying to do. So you've already talked a little bit about breaking down basically the hierarchy of an organization rather than having levels and you have subordinates and you have leaders, helping everyone to just feel like they're partners and collaborators. They're working together. And I agree. I think millennial and Gen Z workers, they're not so interested in titles and positions and hierarchy. They're more interested in impact and getting things done. And so I think that's a really helpful way to frame it. And it does require a kind of a fundamental shift in the way we view leadership if we're kind of from the old school mentality, and if we worked our entire career to get positions and status and those sorts of things, now to be working with younger employees who don't care about any of that, that can be a bit startling. So let's talk a little bit more about some of those specific characteristics and how we can start to embody those as leaders.
In the sense, what you said, the millennials and centennials, they appreciate working with colleagues, partners. So they don't like the old mentality, what you said, that boss, subordinate, those things, this young generation, especially the millennials and the centennials, don't appreciate. So, uh, so that's the reason why I coined this concept of soft leadership, and it's going to impact very positively in the workplace, especially to engage the employees effectively. So, what was your next?
Yeah. So, what are some specific soft skills that are important within your framing of soft leadership? I'm excited to announce the publication of my new book from HCI Press, The Alchemy of Truly Remarkable Leadership: Ordinary, Everyday Actions That Produce Extraordinary Results. Consider how the nature of work has shifted over the past 50 years. With increased globalization, rapid technological advancement, and the shift in economic composition, the average job of today looks very different than the average job of 50 years ago. What will the jobs and organizations of tomorrow look like? Moreover, what does this all mean for organizational leaders? What are the core competencies and capabilities of organizations and their leadership that are prepared for continued disruption and geopolitical and socioeconomic shifts? Regardless of what the future holds, increasingly, leaders need to be socially minded, data-driven, decisive, champions of talent, and disruptors of the traditional notions of leadership, teams, organizations, and work. The Alchemy of Truly Remarkable Leadership will help you to explore your own leadership competencies and capabilities and consider ways to apply and implement them into your workplace and personal life.
So some of the soft leadership qualities means persuasion, then communication. So the communication is one of the C's I have already mentioned in the soft leadership. And then again, the qualities of conflict resolution, then people skills. And then again, one more say I talked about is compassion. Okay, that's also related to soft skills. So these are all the things that I have taken from soft skills and converted them by way of C's like communication, compassion. So I have created soft leadership into 11 C's. So basically, soft skills are the foundation for this soft leadership.
Yeah, that's great. And let's zoom in a little bit more specifically on persuasion. Because when I think of soft leadership, that's usually one of the very first things that comes to my mind and is at the forefront of my mind is the ability for us through gentle persuasion, as opposed to, carrots and sticks and trying to manipulate or kind of force and compliance out of our people, but the soft persuasion, um, uh, that happens through ongoing communication. It happens through the genuine caring and empathy, like you referred to. There's a lot of different ways that we can go about persuading those around us, and it doesn't even require any formal title or position. We can all exercise that soft skill, and we can all exercise persuasion. So tell us a little bit more about that persuasive element and how leaders can start to develop that capability as they interact with their people.
So as I said, this soft leadership emphasizes people orientation without compromising task orientation. That means there's a myth that these people are the soft leaders are people oriented. They ignore task orientation. That's not that. There's a myth. In fact, the basic idea is to get the tasks done smoothly, successfully through persuasion, right? So it is to adopt people skills to accomplish goals and objectives. That means not to compromise with tasks. That's how it is.
Yeah, and I think that's an important reminder because, I think some people view soft skills and soft leadership with a bit of an eye of skepticism, because they think, well, business is about profits. Business is about innovation. It's about tangible outcomes. It's about KPIs, And so as some leaders are listening to this, they might think, well, soft leadership, that's the warm and fuzzy stuff. That's not the stuff that really gets the job done. And you're emphasizing that, no, it's not sacrificing task orientation. In fact, we have to accomplish the main objectives of the organization. Otherwise, the organization won't exist, and we won't have anyone to employ, and we won't provide our products and service to the market. We won't be able to add value to the market. And so that combining these elements with a task orientation, so we can simultaneously get things done while empowering our people to be their best selves, to get the most out of them. That's ultimately what we're really going for. And that balance can be a little tricky at times. What do you suggest to leaders when you go in consulting and you're trying to help them understand the importance of soft leadership capabilities, but perhaps they're if we think along a spectrum, and maybe they're pretty far over on this end of just thinking about business results versus finding a balance between results orientation as well as empathy, persuasion, and some of those soft skills. How do you help them to understand the importance of that and to start developing those capabilities?
See, the point here is very clear. See, the purpose of business is basically for profits. So that doesn't mean that you ignore the people, right? So when leaders keep people before the profit, they'll be able to achieve the organization goals and objectives. That means we need to emphasize on people, purpose, people. When you focus on people and purpose, automatically you'll be able to achieve profit. That's how it is. Similarly, the soft leadership is also like that. There's a myth that soft leadership means it's a kind of gentle approach, soft approach. To some extent, it may adversely affect the organizational bottom lines. It's not in that way. It is to use the people skills, the soft skills in a right perspective to get the things done. So it can be compared something like people versus profit. So organizations are basically for profit, but at the same time, only when you keep people before the profit, you'll be able to achieve the goals and the objectives. So I would like to put it in this way: it's like employees first, customers second, and shareholders third. previously there is a shift that customer was first. Now there is a shift. Now globally organizations are emphasizing on employees first, because when employees are happy, they'll be able to satisfy the customers. When they satisfy the customers, what happens? They'll be able to increase the shareholder value. That's how it is. So there's a shift globally from old school of thought to a new school of thought. That means previously it was uh, customer centric. Now the focus is more on employee centric. That means you give value to employees so that they'll be able to serve customers well, and satisfied customers will bring more business. So ultimately it leads to shareholder value. That's how the process is. Similarly, the soft leadership is also like that. Focus on people, focus on persuasion, so you get the task done smoothly and successfully. That's how it is.
Yeah, I love that framing. And it is interesting because traditionally in business, we talked about profits and we talked about shareholder value, right? And over time that started to shift towards an towards a customer centric approach, with the same understanding that you just described, that if you have a customer centric approach, it will drive greater stakeholder value because you're adding value to the market. And what you're describing though is starting there's this additional transition now that we're talking not just about customer focus, but we're talking about people focus. And that people focus includes, of course, customers, but it also includes the internal stakeholders, the people within the organization, your employees. And I completely agree. I've done a lot of research in this area as well. When you have engaged, happy, purpose-driven individuals, employees within your organization, they produce better stuff, better products and services that adds value to the market. So the customers are happy, more loyal, more committed. That drives profits, that drives value in the marketplace and shareholder value. But when you can make all sorts of sacrifices in the short term that hurt your people in the organization, that exploit your people and will burn them out and cause disengagement and keep people from being committed to the organization and its purpose. And ultimately, in the long run, that will hurt the organization. If we want long-term sustainability of successful organizations, we need to focus on our people first. That will drive customer value, that will drive shareholder value, and it's a win-win-win all the way around. And ultimately it provides societal value because we're adding meaningful jobs to the market, where we are providing good products and services, and ultimately that's what everyone wants. And that does require a bit of a challenging of our traditional assumptions and a shift in our mindset, because we need to recognize the importance of focusing on people first. And so many organizations are built around something else. And if you're not focusing on your people and you're exploiting them and you're sticking it to them and you're finding ways to get more out of them without investing into them, you're going to have burnout and disengagement, and ultimately it's going to hurt the organization in the long run.
Yeah, I do agree with you. See, employee engagement is a big challenge globally. Employees are getting disengaged. So when you want to engage the employees effectively, so you need to focus on people. Then again, when you focus on people means soft skills. Then again, when you talk about soft skills means you need to adopt soft leadership. That's how the role of soft leadership comes into the picture. Uh, and another thing is employees are leaving the organizations. Why? Because of a few bad bosses. So employees are not happy with the bosses. So in fact, they are not leaving the organizations; they are leaving the bad bosses.
Yeah, thank you. Well, Professor Rao, it has been a real pleasure talking with you today. I appreciate your insights, your tremendous contributions to the field of leadership and to organizations, and helping us learn how to run our organizations more effectively. Before we close today, I did want to give you a chance to share with listeners how they can get connected with you, find out more about your books and the work that you're currently doing, and then we'll close up for today.
Yeah, thank you very much. My name is Professor M.S. Rao. M for motivation, S for success, R. Rao. when they type on search engines, they can find a blog, Vision 2030, 1 million global leaders, and they can find my LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram, other social media platforms. They can also find my books on Amazon. I have written 60 books but published 50 books. So they can find several books on leadership and also on mindfulness. This is a book I'll show you. Uh, the title of the book is See the Light in You, for which His Holiness Dalai Lama has written a foreword. So I have written books on various areas like leadership, learning, executive education. So likewise, this is one more book on CEOs I have written. 21 Success Sutras for CEOs. So likewise, they can find all my books on Amazon. They can purchase my books, and they can connect me on LinkedIn. And I have two YouTube channels. I keep uploading videos regularly on various areas in which I am passionate about. So they can easily get all my social media platforms.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. It has been a real pleasure talking with you today. I encourage listeners to reach out, get connected with Professor Rao on LinkedIn, check out his website, check out his books on Amazon. And as always, I hope everyone can stay healthy and safe, that you can find meaning and purpose at work each and every day. And I hope you all have a great week. We are excited about the launch of HCI's new magazine, Human Capital Leadership. Human Capital Leadership is a free, interactive e-magazine designed to help individuals, leaders, and organizations find innovative approaches to maximize their human capital potential. We will be publishing issues quarterly in August, November, February, and May. Check out the first issue and let us know what you think. Thanks again for joining us for this episode of the Human Capital Innovations Podcast. I hope you stay healthy and safe and that you have a great week.